Hey, peace world. Had to pop back in. First of all, the NFL is just the action that we saw yesterday, the playoffs in general this year. It's a hard product to not get into. The competition is there. It takes teamwork. It takes teams. It takes coaching. The front office has to win. The sport of football is just, I hear all the complaints about it and, all the issues over the last 5 years and the player safety and all of that. But the final product that we see on the weekends and the competition, it's just it's hard not to like it. But getting to the subject, the title, Antonio Brown, I just saw some of the, I've been listening to some clips of him on the I Am Athlete podcast. We all know that it's been a split over there with Channing Crowder and Fred Taylor moving on and adding RC from ESPN and whatnot. So that is what that is. Not really something I'm all that interested in. But, B. Marsh and who was that? Nick Grant, whatever his name. That's the rapper's name, I think. Swaggy P. I don't know if the revamped lineup is gonna get it done. But B. Marsh, it took a while for the interview to get going. You like, bro, it took you a minute to get going on this. Touche. But yeah, the thing that started popping up for me immediately was, what the hell happened? What happened? And will we ever get to the truth? And what I haven't heard too many people come back, because I don't watch a whole lot of stuff or pay attention to a whole lot of stuff, but it doesn't seem like Bruce Arians was really taking a task with this $50,000 fine that he recently received from for hitting his player, the safety Andrew Adams. I saw where Arians kind of pushed this aside, saying that, hey, I was trying to avoid some kind of poor sport or unsportsmanlike conduct or unnecessary roughness or something that, after this, a punt return or something. And so that's why he hit the player. But, we saw Urban Meyer be terminated for kicking his kicker. So as I've tried to piece some of this stuff together and what happened and what was the motivation behind Antonio Brown's outburst, I don't think Bruce Arians wasn't culpable in some kind of way in what we saw, and maybe in years prior, decades prior, you could address a player however you wanted. And maybe that player fired back and said his mind, spoke his mind or whatever. B. Marsh in there, interestingly, says he would have went up next to the coach, called him an MF, and told him, when we get in the locker room, you got to come see me, or I'm coming to see you. That's what he said. But we know he did things in his career that were detrimental to him. So, that's that. I think, long story short, I'm just wondering at the end of this, now that we've heard a little bit more, I'm just wondering if another team will give AB a shot. If somebody brings him in. I did see a headline out there where he said that he's been contacted by multiple teams. Of course, you got to say that. But I wonder, how much can he contribute? Does somebody bring him in to see if there's any slippage in his athleticism? He's still a somewhat productive, wide receiver. You don't have to pay him a ton of money. You do have to worry about what will be the impact to the team chemistry. Does the memory of him taking off his stuff, does that fade away? Or is that something that's going to be held against him? Like that was the one thing that you can't do. You can't quit on your team. But again, if we come to find out that Arians, because we already know Arians didn't want him there. We don't know how many weeks, we don't know how many incidents occurred in practice where Bruce Arians was short with AB or just flat out disrespectful. And maybe in this particular, at this particular incident, it was just the straw that broke the camel's back. But we know the player, this man is on 4 or 5 strikes at this point in time. So will that be held against him? He wasn't kneeling, he wasn't protesting, he wasn't doing anything along any racial lines or anything. So is there a chance that some GM, some coaching staff could see him as being an integral part in their postseason success? I know my team, we have a horrible wide receiver core. So I'm sitting here, like, yo, if the price is right and you're gonna speak to the man properly or respectfully, I might be okay with it. We can't draft another dude, to put over there, so we just grab the guy that's available. I wouldn't be upset about it. But again, the optics of him, what he did, how he did it, is it going to be blamed all on him? Or are people going to say, you know what, we've heard, because didn't Roethlisberger have didn't he have some run-ins with Arians himself when Arians was in Pittsburgh? Or was that the younger guy, Hastings or something, or Todd Hasty or something? So I don't know. I just I had been saying that I was concerned of whether or not I was hearing some slurred speech from Antonio Brown. I think it has been some kind of change in his speech, but I don't know. I don't know. They touched on CTE on the show. The Jared Cat, one of the co-hosts on there, he mentioned something about it. And was they need to get some structure to that show. I was just commenting on another video, maybe even it was on the I Am Athlete podcast page, but it's awesome that these athletes are investing in the video team to shoot it, edit it, put the graphics on there and dress it all up and everything. But, none of these guys are ever really going to go work on their craft to tighten up the presentation or to get a good line of questioning down. And maybe you don't have to go get a degree, go to Northwestern and get a degree in journalism, but the same way that you worked on getting your route tree down and the skill set for your NFL position, some of these basketball players and these former athletes, it wouldn't hurt some of these guys to invest some time in this new craft and tighten it up and being able to, to have a better product. Because what I see is just like, not too dissimilar from the dudes, All the Smoke or whatever their name is. A lot of these guys are going to jump out here. A lot of these programs and platforms are going to go out here and build a sizable audience. And then the old school networks or the old school platforms are going to come and offer some of these guys money, And I just think those of them that can best marry their persona and their experiences from the sport that they play, from their career as an athlete, and then can bring in a journalistic value too, and then master the TV thing too, that's going to be the person that's going to be holding all the chips. So, and that's a serious interview right there. That's a serious interview. That's why I didn't think the Sha'Carri Richardson being on I Am Athlete. I was about to say my own podcast. I didn't think that was necessarily a good spot for her. How it was going to be overseen by those guys. And we know, like I said, Fred Taylor and Channing Crowder are no longer in the mix. Anyway, that's the big question. Is this going to be is that incident going to be the last that we see of Antonio Brown, or is someone going to look into Bruce Arians and lay some of the blame on him and his professionalism and maybe put a little spin on this and bring Antonio in for their team. I'd be interested to see later on in 2022 how that plays out. Pay me no mind, sports and entertainment. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. One, let me get back out of this cold.